What's up, everybody? Krydax here. Welcome back to pYanodon's Season 3. I'm quite excited for today's episode. I've actually been pretty busy today, so it's not a morning episode, but I'm excited to get stuff done. We've got problems, folks. Now this has gravel in it. What is happening? Where is that coming from? Is there one more station that's jacked up? There might be. That's probably what's going on. Uh-oh, this one's broken again. Okay, so now we officially have an issue. How? How do we have an issue here? Okay, because we've already played this song and dance once, I'm gonna pause the recording and I'm gonna look into this a little bit on my own, and then I'll kind of unpause when I've discovered something. If it starts to take too long, I'll have to, because I only have a limited amount of time to record this, I'll just come back without it being totally fixed. But for now, I'll pause the recording. Okay, we're back. The good news is I loaded autosaves, and this is only... Oh, it came from the other one. Oh, okay, hold on. I forgot we're merging into that. Okay, so this one is the problem. So then, let's see. So I think this was 36 I was looking at. So let's try 35 and see how that goes. The gravel's already on there at 35. Okay, sorry. I thought I had found which autosave it was between because I was assuming it came from the other station, but it might not have. Well, we know it didn't. We know it came from this station now. Okay, it looks like we've figured it out. It's in this phase of autosaves. So this one is going to Stone Mine provide. Probably not the problem because Stone Mine only has stone in it, I think. Probably neither of these two. Guess we'll find out. It's somewhere in the next 5 minutes that this happens. And it hasn't happened yet, right? Yeah, there's no gravel. No gravel. This one's definitely just stone. No gravel on that. Wait. Oh, there's gravel right there. That freaked me out. Okay. I saw gravel right when I changed views. Okay, still no gravel. Not from that one. So probably the next delivery will have gravel on it. This one has no gravel. So the next one that gets generated, I bet it's you. You're probably the problem. Main base trash provide. You're the problem. How, though? These are all filtered. Do we not have locked slots? 3 locked slots. How does this get gravel on it? It doesn't. Okay. So that's not the culprit. Okay, well, the culprit will show itself soon while I take a sip of coffee. Is it you? You must be the problem. Nope, that's another stone mine provide. I mean, we checked this before. There's literally no way this could get gravel on it, right? Like, this belt is the only belt going into that chest. And as far as I can tell, the only inputs to this belt are from the stone mines, which Keragin's been filtered off of both. So it's 100% impossible for anything to get corrupted there. But we knew it happened within 5 minutes. We're already close to 5 minutes from the autosave. Wait, now gravel's on this one! How How did that happen? Dastardly. That's rude. How did that happen? Come on, man. Wait, did I load the wrong one? This is at 286.13. I must have loaded autosave 34. Okay, so it's sometime in the next couple minutes. All right, I'm gonna pause it for a minute. Okay, I unpaused it. It's been about a minute since the autosave, and now I'm having to check both stations. How is that not deterministic? That's the other thing that scares me. That a different thing happened. It's not gonna be this one, right? Nope. Not that one. Wait! Oh, the iron's got gravel on it! Okay, we're getting there. This was 34 that I loaded, right? Okay, so the iron trash provide had gravel on it. But it doesn't have gravel on it right now. So in the next minute or two, this is gonna have gravel on it. But how? As soon as these filters turn off, the rest of the gravel should load into a train and it should have a locked slot no matter what. How is this happening? Oh, it's just about to get to 10,000 gravel. And that's where... Wait, no, that's not when a delivery gets triggered, is it? Yeah, it is, because 4,000 gets sent to the trasher. Okay, so this is where it's going to happen. The trash train is going to come to get 3,800 gravel, and somehow it's not all going to be loaded onto this train. But how does that happen? We're about to find out. The locked slot worked properly, and it requires 1 second of inactivity. So I'm actually at a loss for how this even happens. I'm really intrigued. Oh, shoot. It already had stone on it. That's the problem. Gosh dang it. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to pause it again, do a little bit more sleuthing. Okay, I loaded a couple autosaves earlier. Here's my theory. There's only 4 stone here. I think it's tick related. We already tested it and we saw that 1 locked slot was enough, but it might not be. I think we need 2 locked slots if we have this many loaders, because we're just too close to 50 stone. I think we're too close and the margin isn't quite right. And if somehow, I don't know how, because they should all start and stop on the same tick. So we should have multiples of 12, right? So it should be 48. Or if it's more than 48, it should be all the way up to 60. I don't know how we're having anything that's not a multiple of 12. Because they're all set by filters, and the only signal that's going to them is this one, which is a singular signal. It is either going to have gravel or not have gravel. So that means they're either all on or they're all off on each tick. And the amount of gravel, or stone in this case, the amount of stone that we have in the chest is more than we need. The request can't be generated because of the locked slot thing. Oh, is that true? You know, that might not be true. If you have a 1 locked slot, would this generate at 450 or 950 stone available? It might. In which case, we might have slightly less than 1,000 stone available, which is why it works sometimes. Interesting. But I think going to 2 locked slots is the answer here, with anything that provides stone. So I actually need to look at, well, let's go back to our current predicament here. Okay, so we're gonna go back to this, and now we need to go to our LTN stations. I know of at least one of them that have this many loaders, and change them to 2 locked slots. I think that is actually the answer here. I'm still not sure if anyone knows. I think it's possible. Let's see. I guess the way that it happens is this gets up to having more stone than we need. But if we have enough stone, it should, all of these should start on the same. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening here exactly. We've discovered the problem, but how are the loaders getting out of sync? That's what I'm currently unsure of. Because if the loaders are in sync, as long as there's stone available, we should be getting exactly 12 per plop. Per plop from the chest into the loaders, it should be plops of 12 at a time. Exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So then, and we know that only 4, so it's only on the second half of the belt. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 are on these belts together. So that's a total of 8 times 6, which is 48. I mean, that's cutting it so close that I probably should have disabled, you know, 1 more slot for stone loaders. But the reason I thought it worked is because we watched it once and it worked. And I just assumed that because that, you know, they're all in sync, it would load exactly 48. That would turn things off. It wouldn't load another set of 12. But clearly it did. What I'm curious about is how we had 4. Oh, I think I know. I think it's because we initially maybe had an extra 12 stone. Then the next stone trip came, and it needed stone as well. And so since that one needed stone, it had 1 locked slot, it delivered 48 again, but now 48 plus 2, now there's only 10 extra because there was room for 2 more. And then the next time there's only 8 extra, and then the next time there's only 6, and then 4. And that's what we had. I think that could be what's happening. So we actually had like 5 stone trips, stone pickups in a row. And that's how the like remainder was changing. That's my theory anyway. Now at the risk of breaking things, I'm gonna set that to 0. And we're gonna chill here because this should trigger stone delivery in mere moments. And we're gonna make sure that it has the 2 locked slots instead of 1. I'm making sure the secondary inventory control isn't the one that controls the locked slots. I hope it's not. Oh, but that's not gonna work to test because I might have to test this in the test world because this is gonna generate a regular delivery which has the 2 locked slots. So it would only work with the gravel delivery that we just had. If I can go grab, you know, the easiest way to do this is probably just go grab 20 stacks of gravel from somewhere. Where would I find 20 stacks of gravel? That is a good question. I don't have gravel in a ton of places. There's 9,000. I'll go over here. Okay, we'll test this just to make sure it works the way we think it works. I want to make sure we understand the system properly so we don't make any more mistakes. I think the locked slots only care about the primary inventory combinator because I thought we observed that once, but I just want to make sure. I'm gonna get rid of my extra stone so that I can carry more of this gravel just to test. All right, we'll go back to the iron trash provide. By the way, my work schedule is kind of crazy, so I will not be able to plan out the 300-hour stream until we're closer to it, because I don't know what my days off are right now. Things are kind of nuts, and I'm hoping for more shifts, so I currently have some days off scheduled, but they might not end up being days off, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so let's check all that in there. This is set to 0 locked slots, so the trash gravel should have 2 locked slots, but if it doesn't, we'll know that it is caring about the secondary inventory locked slot as a separate signal. No trains with this stop. That's probably because our gravel trasher shares trashing with all these other things. Yeah, we've already got 2 trains with this stop. So it'll take a second here. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this will entirely fix the problem. But I am still curious exactly why it worked that one time. We got exactly 48 and it didn't overflow. But clearly something can happen that causes it to go to 60 instead of 48. I'm not sure what that is. Watching paint dry here. So what's next in Hellmod? I don't remember what we were doing. I guess we finished our train of thought and built something and then took it off our to-do list. I guess Moss Mark 2 was the last thing. What's actually next then? Ooh, now this will be fun. We need to pay attention. When this research is done, our optical fiber is going to finally turn on because this is already all set up. We're just waiting for the recipes. So that's fun. And then I guess next we should start working on silicon, right? Silicon based stuff. Yeah, that's literally the next research. Okay. So that is probably what we want to set up next, which requires a lot of coal dust. Okay, so that's what we should set up now, coal dust. Still not ready for the delivery, huh? At a priority of 10. Taking a while. Okay, so coal dust generation methods include... I don't think this one actually exists. Oh, it does. It's just late game. Interesting. You can turn coal into coal dust directly. Now that is awesome, but we can't do it yet. So for now, we will have to do probably raw fiber. Tailings dust is actually not terrible. And that's just a byproduct. So yeah, really raw fiber is the only way to do it right now. Oh shoot, is this one the one? Okay, yeah, look, 3600, perfect. Okay, perfect. So the piece of evidence here is that locked slots for this train stop are inherited from only the main provide station cybernetic combinator and not from the secondary inventory combinator. That is good to know. And this is a train coming for the secondary inventory. This is on channel 2. It's going to our trasher, which is only on channel 2, I believe. Yeah, so that is correct. That's working as intended. And then it should end up with some extra gravel. Exactly how much? 48. See, it's 48. How does it go over 48? We now have 2 data points of 48 being the amount that we go over. So how on earth did we get more than 48 sometimes? Oh, this is gonna cheese my grits. Man, that is annoying. I have no idea how it's going above 48 sometimes. I'm not even 1,000,000% sure that's what's going wrong. But it's gotta be, right? Like, that's the only explanation for how we end up with stuff left over. because all the trains have inactivity condition. And the only way one locked slot isn't enough, and we've seen many points of evidence that it is properly locking that slot, and it doesn't have to do with this locked slot. So it's got to be that somehow we're going over 48 sometimes. That's the only explanation. I don't know how that's happening because we have 2 data points that 48 is the amount that gets loaded on top. I'll keep standing here because soon we're going to have another stone delivery and we can just watch to see if it also does 48, just out of curiosity. Idle curiosity. But while we're waiting, let's set up a coal dust generation. But first I want to look at how much fiber we have available. Because fiber comes from kickout, which we haven't touched in a long time. Looking for plants. Oh, we didn't even set up kickout on this thingy yet. I think we set up kickout in here. Yeah. Let's add kickout into the main plant area. Okay, so kickout. We are using recipe 2, is that correct? Believe so. I'll double check on that. Oh, it's 800. Kickout is using, yeah, recipe 2. There's not 2 recipes for the seeds, I don't think, right? No. No. That's just a turd for recycling the seeds. Speaking of kickout turd, when is that? Kickout turd is pi3. Okay, 820. All right, kickout. Seeds come from that. Output. Okay, and the recycling amount is 50%, so we need this to be our... Is that right? No, do we need to be like 166.67? No. 175? No, 200. Right. Makes sense. Okay. So that's done, that's done. Yeah, that's all that matters. Okay, so then as far as output for this... Oh, here's the train. Oh, this one's for gravel too. We can still watch it to see if it has 48 though. And the stone should be coming right after. But does the stone wait to be generated until we have 1,000, even though we have 2 locked slots? It still hasn't generated stone. We're at 934. Still hasn't generated stone. Still hasn't generated stone. I think it's waiting till we have 20 slots and then it locks 2 of them. Which does mean if you have a lot of locked slots, it's inefficient. There's 48 gravel. Same problem again. So weird. That's 3 data points for 48, 0 for more than 48. All right, I think when we get to 1,000 stone, it's gonna fire off. All right, there's 1,000 and delivery in 3. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, but it wants 900. Okay. Well, we'll watch that one too when it gets here, but I doubt it's gonna change our minds about 48. 48 is the new 6-7. 48. You can just say that in a future... Say that in a comment like 10 episodes from now, and it'll trigger my PTSD for this moment. I shouldn't make light of PTSD. It's one of the things as a culture we make light of, like OCD. It's a very real disorder that we make light of. It's like, no, I don't actually have PTSD. PTSD is a big deal, and I do not have it. But, you know, it's humor's hard, right? Like, you sometimes you joke about serious things. I don't know. It's hard to respect everything perfectly, but look, 48! Ah! If anybody has any ideas on how this is happening, how we're going past 48 sometimes, let me know. Because currently we have 3 data points now of 48 being exactly the overage. And yet, we have what I would consider medium to large evidence that it's going past 48 sometimes. It's not guaranteed that that's how the stone ended up on this belt. However, I cannot imagine how else the stone ended up waiting on this belt, because trains always have an inactivity condition. The only other way I can imagine is if a train came for gravel and stone at the same time, and the one locked slot didn't automatically go up to 2 locked slots. I guess we should test that. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm actually going to test that, just to make sure that the Dan Bopes fork is working the way we think it's supposed to be working. Let's just guarantee that that's working as intended. So this is set to 1 locked slot. We're providing burner assemblers and that's not a provider. Where's a provider? Okay, you're a provider. I need to change this. Wait, what? Oh. Wait, what? What's happening? Why am I not building? Oh, I'm in remote view. Oh my gosh. Remote view in editor mode is a real cluster for your brain to comprehend. Okay. Because it operates things differently. Okay, so there's some stone, and now we want to do burner assemblers in here. Loading. Fire that out. You know, I think I'm just gonna do away with regular power poles for the future. Okay, so put 600 in there. 600 stone. All right, so then that provider's ready to go. This, what's going on here? Why do I have 2 stations? That's not what we want. 1 station, provide only, inactivity, channel 1, 1 locked slot. So this is just guaranteeing that the auto locked slot is working properly. I think it does. We're just double checking. So now we will, let's see, unload all of this into some infinity chests. I feel like we already tested this exact thing, because this, it looks like I've already done this. Kind of looks like I've already done this. And we'll just be able to enable, disable these once it's empty. That's on channel 2. Is this on channel 2? No, that's on channel 1. Okay. So you go on channel 1. One locked slot. I'm actually going to put on channel 2 so it doesn't generate the delivery yet. And then we put on stone, the correct one, for exact, we'll say 12 stacks even. And then assembling machine 1, 12 stacks, 1 locked slot. Wait, this is not the locked slot that matters. I'm being dumb. This is the locked slot that matters. 0 locked slots on this. No, 1 locked slot on this. Sorry. We're getting there. All right, request threshold 10 is the number of stacks. Yes. Okay. So what we should see is a train coming to pick up, I don't know how it'll spread it out, but a maximum of 900 things, even though we have 1 locked slot, which would be 950 things. Let's see, because there's not enough in, wait. I need to take out some of this stone. I want to make sure there's only 600 of each. Okay, there we go. Okay, so if there's only 600 of each, it'll guarantee a 2-item delivery because it can't fill up on 1 item. Okay, so I think that's good to go. This train is... You know, I just realized we're not designating what channels the trains are on. I assume you can, but I assume they're just automatically on all channels if you don't. Okay, so as soon as I change this to channel... That's the wrong one. As soon as I change this to channel 1, we should see the delivery pop up. It's a couple second delay, and I did something wrong. Request only, output on, channel 1, request threshold 10, but it's on stack thresholds. The output of that is wired up to that. The chest is wired up. Is this chest wired up to the input? It's on, it's set to provide, inactivity. It's on channel 1 locked slot. I'm doing something wrong. What is it? The train has access to that station. What are these called, these stations? There's Lamp PM and Goof and Boof. Cannot find any train on the correct network. Okay, this is the problem. Oh. It's just not on automatic. Oh. There we go. Okay. Generated. Perfect. And it's at 900, which is exactly correct. So it is doing 2 locked slots because it wants 2 items. Oh, from the wrong place, but I guess I'll take it. That's funny. Also, it's interesting, it tried to split it evenly. It had enough to do only stone or only... No, never mind, it didn't try to split it evenly. It's because my request maxed out at 600 on, so it couldn't over deliver. But yeah, it did the 2 locked slots properly. Okay, that's good. So in that case, ooh, here's another opportunity to watch it do 48 and further beat my head against the wall. Ah, it did 48! Oh, that's 4 times. So if it ever does more than 48, the chance is fairly small, or we're just unlucky, you know, but like if it was a 90% chance, we would have seen it by now. So yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you think is happening. The only explanation I have is that these tried to load more than 48 into a train that only had 1 locked slot and they couldn't fit. That is a very good explanation, but that explanation needs its own explanation of how does it sometimes get more than 48 onto these belts when we've seen it do exactly 48 4 times now. And part of me was thinking, like, is it because these are trickling in or something? But that wouldn't really explain it, would it? Because trains only come in the first place if there's already 1,000 in here. We just proved that in the editor. I think. Did we prove that? Hold on. I don't think we proved that. Let's test that theory exactly. First of all, take this off channel 1. And then this one, I want to take out all the stone. And then that only loads to 980 on assemblers. And then this one requests this is the wrong station. This one requests assembling machine. 30 stacks. Okay. And we'll give this guy 2 locked slots. So we'll see now, or no. Yeah, since it will never get up to 1,000. Okay, I'm just gonna say you go back to the depot and I will take your inventory myself. So the assembling machines will never get up to 1,000. Oh, that needs to be 20. Shoot. Okay, I caught it in time. So this is asking for 20 stacks. It's looking for a train that can fit 20 stacks of assembling machines. This will never have 20 stacks of assembling machines. So the question is, but it has 2 locked slots. So trains can only come and pick up 18 stacks. Will it generate a request or not? And I think it won't, is our answer. Yeah, that train ain't moving. So that further, you know, just one more data point of like, I do understand how these work. And our assumptions have been correct on how they work. As soon as I put this in, it should generate the, request. Okay, that confirms it. So anyway, that reduces that possibility. It's not like somehow a train came when there was exactly 950 and somehow that got the stone out of sync. So there is 1,000 stone whenever a train comes to get stone, which means all the loaders turn on at the same time. Is it possible a lag spike, like a UPS micro spike of lag, induced somehow these being out of sync in some way? Like, I can't even... Is it a tick-based thing? Okay, now we're really getting into the weeds, but knowing my audience, you guys are gonna love this. So, these belts... Let's get nitty-gritty here. These belts move 15 items a second. Math-wise, per lane, that's 7.5 items per second, right? Which is per 60 ticks. So that means it's this many items per tick, which means every 8th tick, it's loading an item onto the belt, being a loader. Every 8th tick, it loads one item onto the belt. So here's my theory. This is the best theory I've thought up so far. Every 8th tick, it loads an item onto the belt. My theory is that if the shutoff... I think that what I'm getting at is there's a 1 out of 8 chance of getting more than 48. Because the shutoff signal is a 1 tick delay, right? It has to get multiplied by -1 and then it gets sent to the loaders. So I think if... And I think it's random which tick, in terms of tick mod 8, like if you divide the tick count by 8, what's the remainder? I think it's possible that the train arrives and then from there, the loaders versus when... Well, but the... I'm less certain of that though, because the first tick that the loaders turn on should begin the cycle of measuring. Like, it's deterministic. Like, if tick 0 is the moment these loaders switch and filter stone, from there, I assume on tick 1, they will load bits of stone. And then on tick 9, they'll load bits of stone and, you know, keep adding 8. So that would be tick 17, they'll load bits of stone. And then it takes, however, it's a deterministic amount of ticks before it gets loaded in, I think. Well, assuming this starts on the tick that the stone's available, unless these are out of sync somehow, but if they're out of sync, they should stay out of sync. I doubt they're both randomized each time. I assume there's some sort of trigger. There's a lot of weird assumptions here, so I'm guessing I'm onto the right track, is what I'm saying. I don't know exactly what's going on, but assuming that's not randomized, it's like, okay, the stone would get loaded on, then it gets unloaded because this gets triggered to wake up because now there's stone on its own belt or something. So I'm gonna assume this follows suit on this, and these being out of sync isn't the problem. So assuming that, then now this has gravel in it, which on that tick, this is reading that inventory and is connected to here. So basically this one is reading this inventory. I don't know if there's a 1 tick delay there between the train having an item and this receiving the signal. I don't think there's a 1 tick delay. I think reading contents is live. Like if I had a chest wired up to an inserter I think the same tick that this chest receives the item is the same tick that this inserter gets that signal, but it might be on the next tick. No, it's probably on the next tick. So there's a 1 tick delay to get to here, and then on the next tick, this will send out the signal. Oh, we'll get one more data point here. What do we think? We're gonna get 48, or are we gonna get 60? We got another 48. But my theory is that there might be a 1 out of 8 or 2 out of 8 chance that the ticks line up such that the same tick that it fills up to... What am I trying to say? The same tick... Because when does it turn off? It turns off in the old version when we had 1 lock slot. It turned off the moment it got to 950. And it's never going to get to 950. It's going to get to 948 or 946 or something like that. Yeah, it's going to get to 948. So on the tick that it gets to 948. Okay, now this is even more confusing. What the hell? It still wouldn't turn off. These okay, here's my new theory. These loaders are all out of sync with each other. No, that shouldn't be possible. I wish I had time controls installed. We could slow it down to the frame by frame. I think we've discovered the issue though. I'd be surprised if it wasn't something in these lines. I think the issue, and again, I apologize if this episode has been disappointing to you. I enjoy this stuff a lot, clearly. I think the issue is related to something in the tick, 1 every 8 ticks versus the delay of 1 tick. Something in that realm, I think, is causing it to sometimes, if the ticks line up improperly, overload the 48. But what's weird is it's as soon as it gets to 950 that it turns off. Not because the circuit condition is 950, which means if all the loaders are in sync, it would be at 960 exactly that it turns off, because it's loading 12 at a time onto the train. Exactly 12 should be arriving on the same tick. So, okay, this is easy enough to test, actually. Here, we'll just take out the thingies there. We'll let that go to 1,000. That should generate a delivery. Assuming I didn't mess up the settings. Okay, and now I need to go to time. And I'll just pause it when the train gets here. And we can find out for sure. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pause it now. Just to kind of find out, I'm gonna make sure these are built like at different times. Because there is a weird chance if I pasted them all in editor mode and they, you know, build instantly, that like, because they were built on the same tick, they have some sort of issue there. So let's try it this way. Oh, it's also the loading that we observed problems with, not the unloading. But let's at least see if the unloading is tick perfect or not. That'll give us some information. And we're all about that information. Okay. Now, that says 2 locked slots. Oh, I have inactivity condition set. Or no, more accurately, this is not a multi-provider. So locked slots are never going to work because these are not designed to turn off. That's not an issue my base is experiencing. Okay, so how do I advance 1 tick? Tick once. Here we go. That's pretty damning evidence that they're all in sync. Okay, let's look real closely. So the back, so there's like a vertical edge of the assembling machine that just became visible on this tick. If I advance it 8 ticks, we should see that again. Yeah. Oh my god, there's 10. Oh no, 10 is the amount here. Again, this is damning evidence against my theory. Yeah, that is count perfect. So how is this happening? How is this happening? All right, let's dive slightly further into the belly of the beast here. Turn this into a multi-provider, which needs this kind of setup. And these are set filters. And this is the same thing. And this is merged. These are powered. Okay. Read train contents. Okay, so that's reading the train contents. We're setting the filter based on the request. No, not read train contents. What am I doing? Yes. Sorry, that's right. No. We also need to wire this up to the same wire. That's going to output the request. Got it. Okay. Request is not generated because this is not unloading the doodads there. Okay, so our theory will be kind of put to the test here. Again, let's see if like building these on different ticks, making sure they're connected, they are filtered. Okay, here comes the train. If this loads 12 at a time, I'd be hella confused. The train is asking for 900 exactly. Okay. Which is, I assume, not divisible by 12. If it is, we've got a problem. Damn it. Excuse me. We need to change this to 1 locked slot because this is actually gonna goof up our measurements. Go back to the depot. You're drunk. Go home. Yeah. It arrived with stuff. We know. That's my fault. Okay. So that should generate another delivery now. There we go. Okay, this time we've got 1 locked slot, which should have a weird remainder, which is part of the point. Okay, so it arrives. I'm gonna take off the filter. Okay, there's the tick, I think. Oh, there it goes. So now it's filtering. No, see, look at them. They're all marching perfectly in sync. And this is loading 12 at a time. Exactly 12 at a time. Could it be a... No, it shouldn't be low power. I haven't had low power in forever. I'm 95% sure that's not the problem. Okay, let's slow down near the end here. So it should stop when it gets to 950. Because this is outputting 950. Right? Yeah. The train stop is reading what's in there, plus the this is currently output. It doesn't show output signals on this, but it is outputting 950. Because that's what the train wants. So as soon as this gets to 950, there's 900. Okay. 936. 948. It's still not what it wants. This is still giving that the signal. Those are all still lined up. And as soon as this gets to 960, boom. These are still on. This. So on the tick that they receive it, we still haven't seen that they've received it. On the next tick, we have. Oh no, we did see. Sorry, input signal positive 10. So we did see what they received on the tick that they received them. And then it was on the next tick. So it is only a 1 tick delay. And these are now all turned off. And now we got more than 48. And there's all the leftovers. So we just saw a more than 48 example. Well, butter my biscuit. I do not know. We just saw 5 examples in our own base of being exactly 48, and then in the test world we just got one that was more than 48. I'm so confused now. Oh my gosh, I get it. Oh, okay, go back and delete your comment if you already left it, although I'm still gonna get a notification. And here's a funny tip. If you delete your comment, the YouTuber that you commented on can still read it sometimes, because in my notifications when I log into YouTube, like the little bell button in the top right, it'll show me the comment that was left, and then if I click on it to go to the page of the comment, it won't show up there, but it doesn't delete the notification that has the text in the notification. Anyway, so just remember that you can never actually truly delete it, at least not from the YouTuber. All that to say, you guys probably already left a comment pointing this out. This actually was the answer right here. The 48, I think, was tested. My initial 48, I think I saw it on a 2 locked slots. And I was like, well, there's only 48 extra, so we should be fine. The reason there was only 48 extra is because of this divisibility issue. Actually, no, it's not because of the divisibility issue. It's just because of how the math works. I guess it's both. The tick that we got to 900, where the train wanted to stop, was divisible by 12. So at exactly that point, it then said, hey, send no more. And it sent 48 more. In the other case, we keep adding 12s to 900, right? So we do plus 12, plus 12, plus 12, plus 12. At this point, the train still wants to keep going because it wants 950, so it gets 12 more. At this point, it says, stop, I don't want any more. Well, guess what? You always get 48 more than you wanted, and that is 1008, and that answers the question. It only took me a whole episode to figure that out. I apologize if you hated every minute of that. As a nice little reward, we're going to keep working on this coal dust thing. A reward to you, the viewer, for sticking with me. I'm actually really, really happy that we figured that out. I feel so good about that. I feel I'm proud of myself for getting there. Oh, that's why things look weird. I was like, what is this S? That looks so different. It's because I never see the S because we have icons on. Anyway, we figured that out, and I think we need to fix it here as well. That's already got 3 locked slots as a holdover from the old times. So that one was never a problem. But anywhere that I've got a trash provider with 6 loaders and stone, we need to make sure we have 2 locked slots. That's not even a multi-provider. Okay, that one needs to be 2. Actually, this one doesn't because the overage amount is multiples of 8. So 8 times 4 is only 32 items, and 32 items would always fit 32 plus 8. Basically, you need to do the amount times 10 is your overage amount. So this is only 40, so that would still work. It's only places we have, ironically, exactly 6 loaders. Even 5 loaders would be count perfect. It would work with 5 loaders every time, but with 6 loaders, no longer. Man, that's crazy. So yeah, this one's never broken either. Again, not that it matters because this was on the old system of locked slots, but because I only have 4 loaders, this was never going to break. And that's why we didn't notice it for so long, is I wasn't doing many places with 6 loaders, and it wasn't until semi-recently that I installed the Dan Bopes fork, which allows you to do 1 station for both. But yeah, this needs to be 2 locked slots just to guarantee future safety when I add more loaders. Wow. What a crazy journey of discovery for us. Thank you for joining me on that crazy journey of discovery. Now, on to better things. If we're gonna make raw fiber, is kickalk or wood the way to do it with our current ingredients? Okay, so if I want 20 coal dust a second, that is 80 kickalk, which is a lot. Plus 80 WPUs. What are other ways to make fiber? Yotoi leaves and wood. That's it. So Yotoi leaves, what I'm gonna do is 33.3333. And then this is 50, and then we need 60 coal dust. So then it'll be 10, 10, and 10. So as far as WPUs, the kickalk is much more efficient than wood. This one's the most efficient by far with pulp mills. Now to make 50 wood, we only need 5 WPUs on logs, and 5 logs a second. I have a feeling it's not that bad. Yeah, I even have tree mark 2s. So like fastwood forestry wise, it's nothing. Muddy sludge and CO2, easy. So the issue is going to be more the seedlings, and even that's not that bad. So at the, wait, no, tree seeds need some of the wood. Oh, only like 2%. I actually sort of remember the number 2%. And only 3 moss a second, that's not bad either. So this is worse because of 200 WPUs rather than 80. But this is way better. I mean, what is this? 5 plus 8 is 13. 27. We'll call it 30 buildings. On top of the 200? So 230, whereas this is 165, but that's not counting these additional inputs, though these additional inputs are pretty insignificant, right? Like, that's the wrong sand. 3 sand a second, though, is like chill, right? Yeah, I mean 14. No, sorry. Yeah, yeah, okay, that's nothing. A few soil extractors. 1 or 2 clay pits, and that's not even that many lamps. So overall, the kickout build is smaller, but also has additional ingredients, which aren't that expensive though. I'm torn. Okay, let's look at the Yotoi. I'm pretty sure we looked at Yotoi and it kind of sucked to make this many, so it's almost certainly not going to be it. Oh, and you also need to wood process the Yotoi into leaves. So this is almost certainly the worst. But we'll just take a look. Yeah, that's the worst. Not to mention all of this, which adds even more onto it. Yeah. Okay. Now, if someday Yotoi becomes way more efficient, it might be a decent way to make fiber. But at that point, my kickalc has become more efficient too. So kickalc is almost certainly the best way to make fiber, given I haven't even upgraded it to the one that uses fertilizer yet. Wood is interesting because the wood itself is not the problem, it's the wood processing units. So as soon as we get, oh. Hold on. I may be going back on what I just said, because I was about to say, as soon as we get the wood processing turd, I think that's going to change a little bit. So the wood processing turd, there's an option for treated wood. Surely that's, well, might be better. Nylon's not exactly cheap, right? Nichrome is not easy, and ammonia is not easy. The other two, I would say, fairly easy. So nylon's in the middle. I'd say it's fairly expensive, mostly because of the nichrome and a little bit because of the ammonia. We're gonna get some better ways to make ammonia soon. Nichrome, we don't really ever have a better way to make it, because it's always, well, how much more efficient is that? Oh, wait. No, I'm wrong. This makes it roughly 10 times cheaper. Right? No. I'm not doing the numbers right. Sorry. This is a long episode. The nichrome is 10 nickel to 1. So it's 10 to 1, and the molten is also 10 to 1, but molten nickel doesn't make, yeah, it's about twice as efficient. It's not exactly twice, but it's close to twice as efficient, because nickel's about 2 to 1 instead of 1 to 1. And chromium, I assume, is similar once we get there. No, chromium's actually more like 3 to 1. So in terms of chromium, this is 3 times cheaper. So it's about 1.8 times cheaper on nickel, but it's like a full 3 times cheaper on chromium, which is huge, because chromium's the harder one than nickel anyway. Nickel's not hard to mass produce. I don't think there was any crazy extra ingredients or whatever. And the nitrogen is whatever. I'm not worried about nitrogen. Heck, we save on that. Okay, so nichrome does get cheaper by a good amount, to the point where it's a medium alloy rather than a hyper. Right now it's hyper expensive alloy, you know, 18 plates to 1, and then it changes into a medium expensive alloy, which is more like 5 plus 2. It's more like 7 plates in 1, or something in that ballpark. Okay, that's just relevant to whether or not this turd is worth it, because right now most of the cost of nylon is nichrome and a little bit of ammonia. The new one requires creosote, 5 to 30. It's 1 to 6, so 2 to 12. So 100 creosote would make 12 nylon. So we're kind of replacing ammonia with creosote. We need a bunch of sodium hydroxide and wood. And red hot coke is kind of like free. So this is actually pretty good. This is a pretty good recipe. I'm not gonna lie. This makes nylon basically free. Basically just some creosote is the cost. And that's basically free. So... interesting. So that's a good turd. I know a lot of people go with saw blades, which is how this whole thought started. I don't even know what this one is yet. But yeah, saw blades, you make them... Look, that's super cheap. That's super cheap. And the saw blade is a... Oh, it's a... interesting. Oh, why did the tree take a nap? For rest. This is a module. Saw blade module. And it changes these into a building with 3 module slots, but it crafts slower. So plus 300% speed. So at tier 1, it's not even faster, but it's at tier 2 that things get nuts, right? Maybe. Because plus 100% times 6 would multiply it by 7 total. 7 times 3 is 28. Yeah, 7 times 3, 1. Yeah. So those are going to be the same speed as well. So it's not until you get to tier 2 saw blades that you actually get a significant bonus. Now, there is a productivity bonus. Sorry, I didn't mention that. There's a 15% prod bonus, even at the tier 1. That's pretty significant. And what? Didn't this change my WPUs as well? I think it didn't. I think that was a hell mod thing. I'm loosely remembering like the first 30 hours of the game what happened. So I guess the real question is how bad are industrial diamonds and when do we get them? Because as soon as I get industrial diamonds and we have these guys, then our wood processing units are gonna slay. That's not coming anytime soon. That's in chemical science, and that's in chemical science. I assume they're part of the same chain, actually. Diamond mining, yeah. Okay, so once we get industrial diamonds going, then the saw blades thing become dope. Because not only will they roughly double the speed of our WPUs compared to if I hadn't taken the turd, but they give us a massive amount of productivity. Even on the tier 1 buildings, it would give me 21% productivity on top of, you know, basically being... What's plus 7 times a fourth, 7/4? Yeah, not quite 2 times faster, but with the prod, it'll be more than 2 times faster. Because then the productivity would be 21% more. And starting out, I'd get a modest 15% speed boost because of the prod boost, right? That's how crafting works. Prod is speed. So because it'd be exactly a crafting speed of 1, I'd get 15% more out without any additional inputs. Which means both of these would be cheaper, so it doesn't really change that math. Oh, it does change that math, because then I need even fewer logs. We get 2 steps of prod on the log to wood and then wood to fiber. So that makes the logs I need reduced by 15% twice. Ooh, that is oh, I'm so dumb. Guys, I apologize. It's funny because we're kind of on this train of thought already, but these are the actual WPU costs as I have them currently, right? The WPUs we have currently are the speed 1 ones, right? Let me double check that. Yeah, yeah, okay. So this would be what I actually need right now. Which now looking at this makes me like wood better. Because the WPUs aren't as crazy. That's 100 buildings, this is less than 100 buildings. So yeah, wood to fiber is better than kickalc. It's possible that that changes at some point because kickalc has more future upgrades than logs do. Logs. First of all, when do we get the next? Himsai gets us our next wood processing. I meant to look at what that actually does for me. Logs. So when we get that one, probably. Ooh, fertilizer makes it way faster. I'll probably do this one if I can, but wastewater's at a premium. I don't have an easy way to make wastewater. It's 20 seconds for 10. Yeah, it's definitely faster. No, wait, that's not faster. 20 seconds for 10 is not faster than 15 seconds for 8. That's not even better. The one with fertilizer is 10 seconds for 8 instead of 15 seconds for 8. So that's faster. That might be worth it. Maybe if well, we know those aren't going to be cheaper. This one needs 10 urea for 15 fertilizer. I'm using this one right now. Honestly, I don't know if we're ever going to top this recipe for fertilizer. Except maybe this weird sap tree nonsense. Wait, don't these cost fertilizer to make? Yeah, never mind. That just gives you some fertilizer back. That's more to make sap than to make fertilizer. So I guess Yotoi fruit turd would be my only hope for free fertilizer someday. Kind of like the fish food thing. But for now, I'm doubtful this will ever be cheaper. That one also needs Zogna. It's not even... Yeah, I guess it's pretty cheap on the Zogna front, but it requires 6 bones for 15. And the bones are the issue in all of these. Bones. This is the only one that doesn't need bones. I imagine this will be the one we continue using forever. So fertilizer will never be like massively cheap. 2 ash, 2 biomass, 0.2 biocrud, 0.2 urea, and 1 seaweed. I guess that's not terrible. And we will have urea from blood as well. So urea will kind of be like an equivalent to bones in a way. Yeah, once we have that, I'm actually not as worried because then we can use all our excess random blood. Okay, so that being said, backpedaling to here, logs can stand to be about twice as fast as what we have represented here. For kickalc, and I'm going to finish this train of thought and then we got to be done with the episode. For kickalc, we're currently on 2, and I think we decided we're waiting till 4 to upgrade, because 3 costs some significant stuff for what I don't think is quite worth it. So that's 1 per 10 seconds, and 4 is 1 per 2 seconds. It's 5 times faster. Holy cow. And better than that, the seed ratio is way better. Right now the seed ratio is 15 to 12. Wait, what? Did I do the wrong... Oh, 2 to 5. Oh yeah, so we need exactly 6 to make 15 seeds. Right. 6 to make 15 seeds. So when we go to making 32, I'm so thankful they added these icons, by the way. Hellmod was a nightmare to look at before they added the turd icons and the numbers. I don't know what all these are, by the way. Oh, the automated smart farm ones. Those need icons too, I guess, now, because those don't have icons. But anyway, all these icons are so helpful. Thank you, PyDevs. Whoever thought of this, whoever added them, you are a saint. Anyway, so we're still only going to need 6 kickalc to provide the seeds for this. So it's 6 out of 32 is being consumed compared to 6 out of 12. So we're netting 6 versus netting 26. That is a 4.5 times output plus the lower crafting time, which is double. That is literally 9 times faster for the same size of build. 9 times faster. Most of the inputs only required twice as many as well. Wow, that is insane. So kickalc, I think, is the jam for fiber. I think kickalc is the jam forever. Right now, it's not better than wood, and wood gets 2 steps of productivity. Yeah, but then I start asking myself, if wood was the saw blade version, I mean, look at that. We're get rid of the Yotoi. I mean, look at this. We're literally talking. Because the wood won't get that much faster, but it will when we get Botanical Nursery Mark II and Fastwood Forestry Mark II. There's at least those upgrades to look forward to. And once we have the Tier 2 WPUs with the Tier 2 modules, now we're talking like we don't need very many WPUs at all. Plus the prod that you get from that is going to make that even less. Well, sorry, it's going to make these even less. I mean, 4 forestries. Yeah, that's kind of dope. Whereas this one, let's imagine we were doing the recipe 4. And then we had, let's say, a Tier 2 building. We want to be sort of fair here. Tier 2 kickalc. Oh my gosh. Well, that kind of blows everything else out of the water. Is that real? I would only need 1 building, 2 buildings. Oh my gosh. That, I mean, I did say 9 times faster, and that was only from the recipe standpoint. That was ignoring 4 times faster from the building and module changes, so that's like 4 times 9, 36 times faster or whatever. Okay, well, I guess that explains, I mean, my math's off slightly, but yeah, okay. Well, kickalc is the way to go then, because kickalc of the future is stupid fast for fiber. And then, again, giving it the fair treatment, if this was the Tier 2 buildings, we'd have productivity on that, and we need only 1.3 of these, and then only 3.5 of these. So saw blades plus future kickalc is gross, absolutely gross, and we only need a few buildings to accomplish 10 fiber a second. Okay, so saw blades are strong, but they're not necessary because kickalc to fiber. Now, I guess I theoretically should look, and again, I'm gonna be done with the episode soon, but I should theoretically think about all the other things we can make in wood processing units, right? Because having the saw blade turd will mean that all of these things are cheaper. Blade Mark 1, I don't think I'm ever gonna use that. Bedding is a big deal. Bedding being cheaper is a very big deal. So saw blades make bedding cheaper twice. We get some free higher marks of tree seeds, which I guess is fine. Is there really a need for that other than making higher tier trees? As far as I can tell, there's not. Tree seed Mark 4 is not used in anything else. Tree seedling Mark 4 is not used in anything else. And tree Mark 4 is not used in anything else. Okay, so that's not for any reason other than upmarking trees. So that doesn't really matter too much. It's nice to have it cheaper though, but it doesn't really matter. That's only if I go the sap turd route, which I probably won't. So yeah, I guess it's, and maybe a lacquer, oh, that's the other wood turd we haven't looked at, and then the nylon turd we haven't looked at, and then formica. Which, I don't remember which recipe, but that will get better with wood processing unit productivity too, which is actually kind of a big deal. So that's melamine, which is not free. Or wait, no, isn't melamine free from phenol? Yeah, never mind. Just formaldehyde and phenol and a little bit of urea. Okay, melamine resin's not too bad. Okay, so the last thing to look at was the other wood turd, and then I'm done with this episode. This has been the longest one in a long time. Goodness. What is this? Okay, this is... what the heck is what this is? It changes moss into anthracene oil. No, thank you. I imagine I will not want this. So that's annoying. Very annoying. However, it allows us to make anthracene and naphthalene from high distillates, which previously were kind of useless. So this is really what this turd is for. Because remember, anthracene right now only comes from the tar cracking. And then the naphthalene comes from cracking the middle oil. And yeah, the middle oil is 1-to-1 naphthalene, and the pitch is, where's the pitch cracking recipe? That one. The pitch is 20% naphthalene, 30% anthracene. So 20% times 1.5, so we get about 30 more naphthalene and about 45 more anthracene. So this is like 120 anthracene roughly, and about 60 naphthalene from 100 tar. It's hard to argue that we shouldn't just use tar. I mean, this is simpler, but like a good tar setup is also not hard once we have beacons and Mark II buildings and stuff. So this doesn't seem that necessary to me. It's something else to do with your high distillates, I guess. But like, you're still gonna, you know, instead of tar, you're gonna have to crack oil to get the high distillates, which is not that different than cracking tar to get the initial anthracene in the first place. So the only thing that changes, it's actually kind of the same, because you have to go crude to cracked crude, so that's one step, to then crack the high distillates, which is another step. And this is tar, crack tar, which is one step, plus crack pitch and middle oil. So it's not even that much harder to do tar than crude oil. I'm off it. I don't think that's that good. Let me know in the comments what you think, but that one doesn't seem that useful. And this is a marked downside because you need tree seedlings to make wood. So that makes trees like actively annoying to make. Moss is much easier than anthracene. So then the only question remaining is, are these worth the price of admission? So wood goes to lacquer resin. So it gives you a new formica recipe and a new phenolic wood recipe. So formica we were just looking at. The new version would allow you to make it from essentially just wood. Because treated wood is just creosote and wood, and lacquer resin is just wood. And so that would essentially allow you to make Formica from wood and creosote only. And then the phenolic board... Phenolic? Whatever it's called. The difference is we half the cost in terms of bakelite and ammonia and fiberboard by adding in wood. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good turret alternative, right? Like, bakelite's kind of annoying. It's not particularly expensive. 6 biomass a piece, though. That's not that cheap either. Formaldehyde, I'm counting as free. It's like 1 zinc plate a piece plus some HCl, which will be free, especially when we get the extra HCl from all the salt products. So it's mostly like biomass and... Currently, it would be wood and hydroxide to make the lignin. That would be my primary way to make phenol now, but once we're in Kimsai, we'll have the cumene to phenol. Although, it's not... I don't know. It's still a lot of medium distillates we got to go through to make cumene. To make phenol. 200 cumene would be 20 phenol, but phenol is certainly not free, is what I'm getting at, which makes stuff like bakelite not free. So having double the productivity on bakelite is certainly strong, because it saves you a lot of phenol, it saves you some ammonia. I don't care too much about the biomass. I guess the fiberboard... we're about to get another recipe for, right? No, that's in Kimsai. But once we get that recipe, fiberboard feels a lot cheaper. Actually, wait. Is that even that much cheaper? For fiberboard. It's not really cheaper in terms of sodium hydroxide, but it is cheaper in terms of creosote and fiber. And it doesn't have the byproducts. And then there's this one, which only weird people would use, unless anthraquinone gets really cheap. Which... does that count as really cheap? Maybe? We're just talking about anthracene. 5 chromite sand. How much is that? How much potential chromium does that represent? 20 molten, which would go to like 6 chromium. So that's like 6 chromium plus some anthracene and sulfuric to make 100 anthraquinone. 6 chromium to make 24 fiberboard. To save on all these things. Compared to this recipe. That doesn't seem worth it to me. Essentially, imagine if this recipe costs... well, 3 of these would equal 2 of the other ones. But it would cost 1 less of this set of things. It even costs regular fiber instead of raw fiber, and it costs 5 treated wood instead of 3, so that's not even cheaper. So yeah, I mean, this one just is bad. The 12 fiberboard. That should make like 16 or 20, in my opinion. The fact that it even costs, it's not even making treated wood cheaper. And fiber is more expensive than raw fiber. It's like, what, twice as expensive, so that's not cheaper. It's actually more expensive. This recipe's terrible. The only thing you're saving is a couple sodium hydroxide and a little bit of sodium sulfate, and technically a little bit of steam, but that's ignorable. So yeah, that recipe's bad. Don't use this recipe. The only imaginable scenario where you use this is if you literally are trashing anthraquinone for some reason. Otherwise, this is your recipe for late game fiberboard. Anyway, I am really, really, really deep in the weeds. All of this was evaluated. I mean, I I say I'm deep in the weeds. That was all important. Everything I just did was important to this half an hour project that could have been its own episode. You got 2 episodes in one today. Saw blades. Here's my ranking. 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place, 5th place. This one is so... I don't think this deserves 3rd place. I don't think this is really any good. It's fine. This is a side grade, I would say, not an upgrade. And turds should have upgrades to feel worth grabbing. This is an option that is added into your toolkit, which is nice, but it certainly doesn't, compared to saw blades, which are just like a big upgrade, this holds nothing. This one is nice. This is a strictly better thing. Like getting double phenolic boards from adding in some wood is definitely a plus. So that is the only good part about this. The Formica, that one doesn't really matter that much because Formica's already not that expensive, and it's only, I guess it's used in whatever electronics are, which are used in, wait, what? No, they're not used in anything. There is one thing about alternative energy I don't love, which is all these random ass things like yaw drives, which have things in them that are only existing to, what do you call these? These are called parasitic mechanics in Magic the Gathering, and this is a parasitic item. It exists only in the vacuum of being created for a nacelle, which exists only in the vacuum of being created for a horizontal axis wind turbine. Not to mention we have vertical axis wind turbines, which have... See, this one's fine because it has normal ingredients. But this one has a bunch of things that only exist to need a bunch of things which only exist. And it's like, why does all of that exist? Just use mechanical parts. Just use green circuits. Just use, like... That, I would argue, is more the game design that people accuse Pi of being too much of, which is having stuff just for the sake of having stuff. I would argue that... how did we find that? Oh, yeah, these electronics Mark 1 should not exist in the game. That's my argument. We should just use larger amounts. It's kind of to add complexity. I get that, but I feel like there's a better way. You know, take out the yaw drive, take out the electronics, leave the rest because those are already in the game. Leave the nacelle. I'm fine having one extra thing for a wind turbine, but like, I think they went nullius mode on this a little too much. But using nullius, at least, is using buildings in other buildings, like it would be using a tidal generator in the wind turbine or something, you know, or a steam engine, which you would need for other things. In this case, I think there's too many parasitic items that have no purpose. And I think alternative energy added quite a few of those, and they just clog up the recipe books, they clog up your understanding of the game. They don't add anything interesting, and you don't even use them unless you use that exact power source. Not even Mark II HOTS. It's only Mark I HOTS that would ever need this. Like, that's what's really crazy. You don't even use a Mark I HOT in a Mark II HOT. So these electronics Mark I are literally only used in that one place. They added them in to this recipe where they didn't used to exist. So they could just take them back out just as easily. And look, all these ingredients, here's where I really disagree with the game design. Look at these ingredients. Does that look familiar to you? Does that look familiar to you? Look. Here, let's do it this way. Electronics, capacitors, resistors, PCS, vacuum tube, glass, iron, solder, tinned cable. Look, capacitors, resistors, PCS, vacuum tube, solder. Like, these are almost the same recipe. Like, yeah, the battery's a little different. Yeah, this has, you know, some glass added in. But, like, there's already glass in the vacuum tubes. So is that really that different? This has solder. Solder and tin cable are almost the same thing. Just copper versus lead. Like, apart from the battery, this is almost the same as green circuits. So just use green circuits instead of electronics Mark I. That in my opinion... This is not good design. remove electronics Mark 1 from the game, add in however many green circuits you want to add in to make it feel like roughly the same cost, and there you go, you're done. Given how much overlap there is, I do not see, and thank you for listening to this rant. Apparently today's a day of rants. I do not see the need to add electronics Mark 1 into the game. I don't think they argue for their own existence. They do not provide enough evidence to exist. And if something can't argue for its own existence in a game, especially like Factorio, where there's already overload on your brain, it should be removed. So that's my recommendation. If anybody's watching that wants to make this an official recommendation to the devs, feel free to refer them to this rant. I'm probably not going to take the time to post that on one of the GitHubs or Discords, but feel free to add that in. Anyway, I really need to be done with this episode. I do believe, to finish out the thought, I do believe we're going to choose saw blades. I'm not 0% to choose biosynthetic nylon, but I think the saw blades are so strong and the productivity bonus is so good and they only get better. I think they're a pretty clear winner to do saw blades. And then that'll make things like fiber, which have knock-on effects to things like coal dust, feel cheaper. You know, fiber goes into a lot of things. I guess not that many things. But like, it'll make microfiber feel cheaper in my head. It'll make rayon. Rayon's expensive for other reasons, but you know, it's one of the costs. Make that feel cheaper. It'll make fiberboard feel a little cheaper. Though I guess, yeah, fiberboard uses raw fiber, the regular recipe. And then regular fiber is used in all sorts of animals, so it'll feel cheap in those places. So yeah, I think saw blades is the way we're gonna go. And to finish this, we are going to build it with saw blades in mind, since we're not that far from having saw blades. But we are not going to build it with Mark II kickout, nor am I going to build it with the tier 4 recipe. So this is what we're thinking for coal dust. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you for coming to this episode. It has been a very long episode, but sometimes that's fun. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one.